Take a thrilling journey back to the electrifying 1960s, a decade that exploded with raw energy, groundbreaking creativity, and music that changed the world forever. While legendary acts like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones dominated the scene, countless other bands that once electrified the charts have since drifted into obscurity. In this video, we're uncovering the hidden gems of the 60s, 12 legendary bands that once rocked the charts, defined an era, and then mysteriously faded away. The Hollies were a British rock band formed in the early 1960s, known for their tight harmonies, catchy melodies, and polished pop rock sound. Alongside bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, they were part of the British invasion, but carved out their own niche with a blend of folk rock, psychedelic influences, and upbeat pop. Their signature style featured the soaring vocals of Alan Clark and Graham Nash, as well as intricate guitar work and lush vocal arrangements. Their hit songs include Bus stop, wet day, she's there, I say, please share my umbrella. The road is long. Saturday night, I was downtown, working for the FBI. The 1960s were dominated by giants like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and the Who, making it harder for other bands to break through. The Hollies were known more for their music than their personalities or a rebellious image, which made them less iconic in the eyes of the media. While they never reached the superstar status of the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, the Hollies are celebrated for their contributions to pop and rock music, particularly their harmonies and songwriting. The Left Banke was an American rock band formed in New York City in 1965, best known for pioneering the Baroque pop genre. Their music blended classical influences with pop sensibilities, featuring lush string arrangements, harpsichords, and intricate harmonies. This unique sound set them apart from other bands of the era and earned them a dedicated following. Their hit songs include The band was plagued by infighting, particularly between songwriter Michael Brown and lead singer Steve Martin Caro, which led to instability and lineup changes. The Left Banke is remembered as one of the most innovative bands of the 1960s. Despite their short-lived success, their influence can be heard in the work of later artists like the Beatles, the Zombies, and even modern indie acts, credited with helping to define the Baroque pop genre. Strawberry Alarm Clock was an American psychedelic rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1967 at the height of the psychedelic movement. They are best known for their dreamy, trippy sound and their association with the counterculture of the 1960s. Despite their experimental edge, they had a knack for crafting catchy, radio-friendly melodies. Strawberry Alarm Clock is remembered as a one-hit wonder with their iconic song Incense and Peppermints. But they were also a significant part of the psychedelic rock scene. Their hit songs include Good Sense, Innocence, Crippling Mankind, Dead Kings, Many Things I Can Do Tomorrow. Things won't be the same. Turn your mind on, sit with you. Despite the massive success of Incense and Peppermints, they struggled to replicate its impact with subsequent releases. By the late 1960s, the psychedelic sound began to fade, and harder rock and more introspective singer-songwriters took over the music scene. The Electric Prunes were an American psychedelic rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1965. They are best known for their groundbreaking use of distortion, reverb, and experimental sounds, which made them one of the defining acts of the psychedelic rock movement. Their music was a blend of garage rock, psychedelia, and avant-garde experimentation, creating a unique and trippy sound that captured the spirit of the 1960s counterculture. Their hit songs include
I touched your golden hair and tasted your perfume. Here I go, 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 go. You gotta get into the world on time.
Despite the success of I Had Too Much to Dream last night, they struggled to replicate its impact with subsequent releases. The band often clashed with producers and record labels over the direction of their music, leading to a lack of cohesion in their output. The Electric Prunes are remembered as one of the most innovative bands of the 1960s psychedelic era. While they are often labeled as a one-hit wonder, their influence extends far beyond their commercial success. The Box Tops were an American band formed in Memphis, Tennessee in 1967. They are best known for their soulful, blue-eyed sound, blending rock, pop, and R&B influences. Led by the deep, mature voice of teenage singer Alex Chilton, the Box Tops became one of the most distinctive acts of the late 1960s, scoring several hits that captured the essence of Southern soul and pop. Their hit songs include
Living without you is driving me crazy. I cry like a baby. When she wrote me a letter, said she couldn't live without me no more. And my love is a river running so deep, way down inside.
Chilton left the band in 1970 to pursue a solo career and later formed Big Star. His departure marked the end of the Box Tops' most successful era. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, the music scene shifted toward harder rock, progressive rock, and singer-songwriters, leaving their soul pop sound less in demand. The Box Tops are remembered as one of the most talented and underrated bands of the 1960s. While they are often associated with their biggest hit, The Letter, their broader catalog showcases their versatility and musical depth. Paul Revere and the Raiders were an American rock band formed in the late 1950s, but they rose to fame in the 1960s. Known for their revolutionary war-themed costumes, high-energy performances, and catchy garage rock sound, they became one of the most recognizable bands of the era. Their hit songs include
Kids just keep getting harder to find, and all your kids ain't bringing you peace. 'Cause I'm hungry for those good things, baby. Hungry for gonna have a good thing, such a good thing, baby. And when
Their frequent appearances on teen-oriented TV shows and their playful image made them seem less serious compared to bands like The Doors or The Byrds. By the late 1960s, the music scene shifted toward heavier rock, psychedelia, and singer-songwriters, leaving their garage rock sound feeling outdated. Paul Revere and the Raiders are remembered as one of the most fun and entertaining bands of the 1960s. Their music is often associated with the carefree, rebellious spirit of the 1960s. The Association was a popular American pop band formed in California in 1965. Known for their intricate vocal harmonies and polished, sunshine pop sound, they were part of the 1960s wave of folk rock and soft rock groups. Their music often featured lush arrangements, blending elements of pop, rock, and psychedelia. Their hit songs include
cherish is a word I use to describe. Never mind love. Never mind love.
Despite their success, the Association struggled to maintain mainstream relevance as the 1960s transitioned into the 1970s. Their polished, radio-friendly sound fell out of favor as rock music became harder-edged and more experimental. The association's clean-cut image and lack of a defining edge made them seem less revolutionary compared to their contemporaries. The association is remembered as one of the quintessential sunshine pop bands of the 1960s. Their harmonies and melodic craftsmanship influenced many artists, and their hits remain staples of oldies radio. While they didn't achieve the same legendary status as some of their peers, their music has endured as a nostalgic representation of the era's optimism and creativity. The Turtles were an American rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1965. Known for their catchy, harmony-driven pop rock sound, they became one of the most successful and beloved bands of the 1960s. The core members were Howard Kaylan, lead vocals, and Mark Volman, vocals, who later became famous as Flo and Eddie. Their music blended folk rock, sunshine pop, and psychedelic influences, often with a playful and humorous edge. Their hit songs include
I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. I think you're swell, and you really. Some girls love to run around, love to handle everything they say.
Despite their success, the Turtles struggled to maintain mainstream relevance as the 1960s ended. Like many bands of the era, they faced challenges adapting to the changing musical landscape of the 1970s, which favored harder rock and more experimental sounds. By the early 1970s, Kaylan and Volman left the band and joined Frank Zappa's Mothers of Invention, rebranding themselves as Flo and Eddie. The Turtles are remembered as one of the most fun and melodic bands of the 1960s. Their hits, particularly Happy Together, have endured as classics of the era, frequently featured in movies, TV shows, and commercials. The Blues Magoos were an American rock band formed in the Bronx, New York in 1964. They are best known for their pioneering role in the psychedelic rock genre, blending garage rock with experimental sounds and early use of electronic instruments like the Hammond organ and electric guitars. Their music was characterized by its raw energy, psychedelic flourishes, and rebellious attitude. Their hit songs include
Tobacco Road.
The Blues Magoos struggled to maintain mainstream success for several reasons. While they were early innovators in psychedelic rock, the genre quickly evolved, and they were overshadowed by more prominent bands like The Doors, Jefferson Airplane, and Pink Floyd. By the late 1960s, their sound was seen as less innovative compared to the more complex and experimental music emerging at the time. The Blues Magoos are remembered as one of the first bands to embrace and popularize psychedelic rock, particularly with their hit, We Ain't Got Nothing Yet. They are celebrated for their raw, garage rock energy and their role in shaping the sound of 1960s psychedelia. The Grassroots were an American rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1965. They were part of the 1960s wave of folk rock and sunshine pop bands, known for their catchy melodies, polished harmonies, and radio-friendly sound. The band went through several lineup changes over the years, and their music often reflected the optimistic, feel-good vibes of the era.
You will take it nice and easy and use my simple plan.
Their hit songs include
1, 2, 3, 4. Sha la 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 la, live for today. In my midnight confession, when I tell the world that I love you. Temptation eyes looking through my eyes.
Despite their success, the Grassroots struggled to maintain mainstream relevance as the 1960s transitioned into the 1970s. Their polished, radio-friendly sound fell out of favor as rock music became more experimental and harder-edged. By the mid-1970s, their commercial appeal had waned, and they were unable to keep up with the evolving musical landscape. The Grassroots are remembered as one of the quintessential sunshine pop bands of the 1960s. Their hits, particularly Let's Live for Today and Midnight Confessions, remain staples of oldies radio and are often featured in movies, TV shows, and commercials. The Yardbirds were an English rock band formed in London in 1963. They are widely regarded as one of the most influential bands of the 1960s, bridging the gap between blues, R&B, and psychedelic rock. The band is also famous for launching the careers of three legendary guitarists, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Jimmy Page. Their music evolved from raw blues covers to innovative, experimental rock, making them pioneers of the British invasion and the psychedelic era. Their hit songs include
For your love, for your love. And I know, well, if she had me back again, well, I would never change of things before my eyes. Just teach me to.
Despite their critical acclaim and influence, the Yardbirds struggled to achieve consistent mainstream success. Their frequent lineup changes, particularly the departures of Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and eventually Jimmy Page, disrupted their momentum. Additionally, their experimental approach to music often made them less accessible to mainstream audiences compared to more straightforward pop acts like the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. By 1968, the band had disbanded, with Jimmy Page forming Led Zeppelin shortly afterward. The Yardbirds are remembered as one of the most innovative and influential bands of the 1960s. They are credited with pioneering techniques like distortion, feedback, and the use of Eastern scales in rock music, which would later become staples of the genre. The Zombies were an English rock band formed in St. Albans, Hertfordshire, in 1961. Known for their sophisticated melodies, lush harmonies, and jazz-influenced arrangements, they stood out among their British invasion peers.
If she should tell you, I love you, whoa, whoa.
Their music blended Baroque pop, psychedelia, and R&B, creating a unique and timeless sound. Their hit songs include
Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had the color of her hair. It's the time of the season. Tell her no, 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 no.
Despite their critical acclaim and a handful of hits, the Zombies struggled to achieve lasting mainstream success. Their sophisticated jazz-influenced sound was often seen as too refined for the pop-dominated charts of the mid-1960s. Their masterpiece album, Odyssey and Oracle, was released after the band had already disbanded, and its success came too late to revive the group. By the time Time of the Season became a hit, the members had moved on to other projects. The Zombies are remembered as one of the most innovative and underappreciated bands of the 1960s. Their album Odyssey and Oracle is now regarded as a masterpiece of Baroque pop and psychedelia, influencing countless artists. In 2019, the Zombies were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And that's a wrap on these 12 underrated 60s bands. If you love discovering these hidden gems, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into rock history. Until the next video, see ya.